myself a cheerleader. Don't want me singing. Good morning, Benny.
We should do a remix for you one time. See just how it kind of made you do a comparison?
Oh, with my voice?
Why not?
All right. Well, just as long as is it
You
called
sound so
dubbing it?
excited
Is
for
it
that
called
one.
dubbing my voice or
We could dub over, sure. That would be one.
dub over my voice would be really a good
I
idea.
could remix this. We could do a little, maybe a dance track. I don't know. We could,
As
hype
long
it
as
up a little bit.
getting jiggy with it. Getting jiggy with it.
Sorry, those are the 90s and 2000s. They're far back there.
Well, welcome. It is Tuesday. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's gray and rainy.
Good afternoon to me. Good afternoon to me. Good morning.
Yeah,
to you
our
guys.
guest is in Portugal.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did I miss that? Oh my God, that's on my to-do list. Portugal, Croatia, all that. I will get over there. I know I will. So I know I say this every week, but we have an incredible guest and I'm going to get to her in just a second. I want to remind all of you, if you want a copy of the show, which you should, and if you want to give me a 5-star rating, which you should, you need to sign up for the newsletter. And all you got to do is go to claritywithsue.com and type in newsletter or just Clarity with Sue newsletter. Get the newsletter, you'll get a copy of the show, you'll get copies of all the links to SoundCloud, podcast world, the iTunes world, all of that. And we'd love to get 5-star ratings. So please do that to keep us loving and sharing the love in a win-win. And also you can see us live on YouTube. All you got to do is go to YouTube at 11:50 and type in 11:50. Again, we're talking about new perspective, new ideas, new thoughts. It's a new you. And I bring on guests or I educate with the things that I know. My specialty and unique ability is bridging the 3D with the 5D. And also because we live in the 3D, we have 3D life. We have practical tools or practical problems and issues that we've got to get over. We've got bills, we've got triggers, all of that stuff. So self-regulating is really important. Changing those habituations from past fears is really important. And then also aligning all of that with your energetic field and what that feels like and making sure it's aligned with who you are, how you want to show up in the world so you can bring all that juiciness to you. So make sure you sign up for the newsletter. You can also get the C2C program online as well. Just go to claritywithsue.com, and the C2C. It's just the letter C, the number 2, and the C. So we are going to jump in. We have got Christina Lopes with us today. I'm going to give you her bio, and we're going to jump in and get to the juicy stuff. Christina Lopes, DPT MPH, and we will get to that definition in just a minute, is a trained clinician, life coach, and spiritual teacher who has spent a decade working as a neuropediatric physical therapist before becoming a life coach in 2014. Today, she seamlessly bridges science and spirituality to help others heal from significant trauma, open their hearts, and living fully in their lives. Welcome.
Thank you. So good to be here.
Thank you. I guess I didn't know that you were all the way on the other side of the world, but that's beautiful.
I am. I live in Portugal. Yeah. I used to live in the US, but I moved quite a while ago. 2013, I moved to Portugal. I'm Portuguese. I have dual citizenship. So it was
beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got to get over there. I've had so many people. It's that noodle. It's in there
happening. It's a beautiful country. Yeah. You'll love it. You'll love it. Everybody speaks English. It's just sunny and beautiful. Yeah.
That's my kind of spot right there. Sounds amazing. Okay. So Christina, I did the formal bio. Let's get to know you. Let's get to hear your frequency, your energy, your big why. And I'm going to let you take the stage.
Yeah. So basically I went through a huge transition. I think that, the reason I'm speaking to you today really is because of that huge transition that I went to in 2013, really, when I think that's what happens to still the vast majority of people that have spiritual awakenings is it happens through a trigger or your life falling apart or everything imploding on you.
Yes.
And that's literally what happened to me. You were talking about the initials. I was a physical therapist. The DPT is a doctorate in physical therapy. The MPH is a master's in public health. So I went to Johns Hopkins also for a master's degree in public health. So I was in the clinical kind of healthcare world. So still in the healing professions, I guess. I've always known I was a healer. But I come from a long line of women that have spiritual skills, and I kind of shut the door to that very early on in my life, because I was very tortured as a child with energies that I didn't understand, and so I was very scared. So I just tried to close the door as best I could.
Oh, you're speaking my language, totally. Oh my God.
Although that never really works, right? That never works. So
No.
decided, nope, I'm gonna go the science route. I need to, see it to believe it. And so I, went the science route, and still within the healing professions, but did that many years in college, and then specialized in neuropediatrics. I worked with children with disabilities in New York City for a really long time. And then, my life just fell apart. The trigger for me was the dissolution of my marriage. And I just decided, wow, my life hasn't been working so well when it's been planned by the mind. So I'm going to do it a different way. I didn't know what that way was, but I literally just cracked open, and I said to the universe, apparently this is not the path that's meant for me. So show me what it is. And that just started, this whole.
Ooh, that's a big, brave question, sister.
That was a big. Yeah. That was pretty big. And I just, I just surrendered, and I kept following. And, this was in very early 2013 that this happened. And then I went through 4 years in hermit mode, where I was literally in solitude, living in the middle of nowhere. I moved from place to place, but always within nature, and very close to nature, and forests and ocean and all that. So I spent 4 years in hermit mode in solitude.
What did you learn from that? That's powerful, right?
It wasn't, there was a lot of learning, of course, but I think those 4 years of solitude were really important for me to just let go of all of the baggage that I had. I had a deep, deep healing to do. I come from significant trauma in my childhood, and I just, I knew that there was a lot of trauma there, but I didn't have the tools to kind of be able to heal it. And so those 4 years were really important for me to just, those were years of just going inward, of learning how to speak to my guides, of learning how to attune my sixth senses, so that I was able to connect with my spirit guides. And you can only do that through silence. You can't, so for me, it was a really strong calling to just literally, I walked out of my home in the US with a couple of suitcases, and I left the US, and I never went back. And it was just, I just dumped all my stuff. It was literally just, all right, let's clean this up.
Physically, all the above.
Literally. Yeah. I literally walked out of my home with just a couple of suitcases, left everything behind for my ex-wife to have it all. And I just went off. And, after those 4 years, my guide started to say, all right, like, you're not going to be living in hermit mode your whole life. And I was like, yes, I am. Don't take me out of the forest. I'm perfectly comfortable in the forest. I don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with people. And then my guides were like, nope, you're here to be in the trenches of life with people. And you have to go, like you have to go back to regular society. And that's what ended up happening. And so, these years of hermit mode, of going within, of I had a really strong intuition to start doing videos. I know that, at the moment it was just like, you have to do videos, put them on YouTube, because, you going through your transformation, this is how you're going to start helping people. And so that's kind of really how my journey started, was with my YouTube channel. And I just had no idea. It was the most awkward times in my life, where I'm literally in front of a camera going,
4 years in hermit mode going, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I started my YouTube channel, and everything just really took off from there. Like the YouTube channel just really started growing very, very quickly. And it's that really just catapulted me to where I am today, to coaching people, doing retreats and online courses and all of that. It really just started with that video. I started to receive feedback from people saying, your videos, like, they really speak to me. Please keep doing them. And so I really just kind of went with people people's comments, and I started to customize content based on what people left in the comments, what questions they had, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And so, yeah, that's a little bit, a tiny bit of how I got here.
No, I love it because, myself and the audience included, we want to get to know you and feel your energy and the why behind all that. Do you want to talk about and kind of unpack a little bit more on that why? And I know, and my audience knows this, in the language that we're speaking to, when the universe puts those things without an adjective to really describe. I mean, when you ask the universe, Gus, God, universe, source, spirit, it could be purple chopsticks. I don't care if it's what you believe and it makes you a whole aligned person, do it. I want to kind of dive in and unpack that why and that metaphysical, spiritual. And yes, you have been a healer from day one, touching people. And in my belief system, and again, somebody coming from trauma as well, and unpacking that for somebody. So we've got trauma to have a conversation about, and then also the awakening process, because there's the peeling of the onion and the things not only that you discover, there's discernment, there's awakening, there's learning. Can we just kind of noodle and unpack that for everybody? So
Yeah. So over the years, I've now worked with almost, I think, 3,000 private clients already, upwards of that. So I've been worked with thousands of people, and I've been seeing patterns a lot in the people that I work with and the people that I connect with on YouTube and all of that. And it seems that we're going through a transition, really big transition. Initially, for a really long time, and this is true for me, and I think anyone that has a healer's path. Usually the awakening of a healer's path is not particularly easy, and it's not particularly easy on purpose, because usually healers come from, their souls have kind of codified certain experiences to happen in their lives so that they transmute those experiences and then be able to help others later on. So the healer's path and the healer's awakening tends to be a little bit difficult. And it was for sure for me. Those 4 years of solitude, it wasn't all bliss. There was bliss there. There was, there's dark nights. There's a Kundalini awakening where I had a really very intense, very difficult Kundalini awakening.
Wow.
So there was a lot of
During isolation when you're by yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I had a Kundalini awakening, and it was just probably some of the hardest physical symptoms I've ever been through. And so there seems to be kind of a cutoff where people of my generation, I'm, 43 and even younger, even millennials. I've been working with a lot of millennials who are still kind of, when they awaken through some kind of hardship. Either something happens, something falls apart, they lose their job, they lose whatever, they have an accident, something kind of dramatic has to happen for them to awaken. But I'm also starting to work with people who are awaking spontaneously now, not through suffering and not through pain. And that's really where we're going. It's just this kind of switch, people are like, wait a minute, there's got to be something more to life than what I'm living right now. And that just happens spontaneously. And so I'm seeing that split right now too. But regardless of how a person wakes up, there's ups and downs for a spiritual awakening for sure, because an awakening, really, a lot of times people think that an awakening is an expansion outward or upward of consciousness. And that is true. And that is true. That's the more masculine energy, the more yang energy going out in the world, because that's what masculine energy does. Masculine energy stretches up and out. But there's also a feminine aspect to awakening that's incredibly powerful. And that's an inward journey, down journey. And that journey is particularly difficult because you got to be able to, it's a path of a lot of courage. You have to be able to say to yourself, I am dedicated to turning every single stone of my inner world upside down so that there is nothing that is left unseen in me. And that seems
right there, because there's that, there's the old victimhood, and then there's the chemical reactions and the habituation that happens. There's that victimhood. And then to have that big, brave work to lean into that fear, to lean into that trauma and say, okay, I see it. Let's let it go. Whatever, it's powerful work. I'm with you. I know that and I've got goosebumps. I know that we just hit a chord with a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah. And healing too, there's an aspect. I think that all of us have the capacity to self-heal with certain tools, right? Like we are our own healers. Nobody can heal us. There's no way. There's some people that come into your lives, teachers, gurus, healers that come into your life, and they can present a mirror to you of your own capabilities. But at the end of the day, a true gifted healer is nothing but a mirror. And that's one of the biggest gifts that can be given to someone who thinks or doesn't remember who they are, really. But when it comes to healing, there's the moment that you say, I'm ready to go into that healing. For me, it was super important to realize that whatever I saw, whatever was uncovered, whatever I went into, I had the perfect capacity to see and to heal and to deal with. And I think that's one of the biggest obstacles, I think, to healing, especially significant trauma, but healing anything really. One of the reasons that we carry all this pain inside of us, and we keep distracting ourselves with shopping or drinking or sex or whatever, TV. The reason that we keep doing this is not because we're idiots. We keep doing this because there is a part of us that doesn't believe we are strong enough to heal whatever it is that we're going to heal. And so the distractions kind of come in. But for me, really, once I started to connecting to that multidimensional self, to that enormous soul that's been here so many times, and that incarnates here temporarily, and then they'll be back again, and then they'll be going somewhere else. And as soon as I started to connect to that enormity of the soul, the soul is enormous. And the more I connected to that, the more I streamed that energy down, the more I can hear like a whisper in my ear that would say, there's nothing you're going to see that you can't deal with. I mean, like you're huge, you're enormous, you're powerful. And so that really helped me go deeper and deeper and deeper. The things that I encountered, when I was ready to heal them, I would encounter them. If I wasn't ready to heal them, I wouldn't encounter them. And I started to really trust my guides and my soul that the creator of all of this actually knows what they're doing. Isn't that a wild thing? What? I mean, yeah, exactly. Really? Oh my God, I can trust the universe. Yeah, you can actually trust the creative energy that makes everything go round. Yeah, you can.
Love and trust. Choose love and trust. That is, yeah.
And it's funny because like then you start to be confronted by that little ego part of you that thinks that it actually controls anything and that it knows anything. And then you're like, wait a minute. I don't even have to think about digesting or breathing or doing anything. 99% of everything that happens to me is happening by this grace of energy that's infused in me. So I'm going to let go of this idea that I actually control anything and that I can't trust the universe, that I'm out there all by myself. And so that was really, really key for me. But of course, this isn't to say that there weren't difficult moments. There are difficult moments when you're healing, especially when you have to confront. It's not really, I don't even actually like to use the word confronting because it sounds violent sometimes. Because for me, the big breakthrough in healing was discovering healing through feminine energy, which we're still only beginning to touch the surface of. We're still
Unpack that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very, for thousands of years, there's been an imbalance in masculine and feminine energy. There's been a domination of masculine energy, and masculine energy is beautiful and it's a wonderful energy. And this isn't to talk about gender. Masculine and feminine energy are present in men or women, right, or non-binary. It's not a question of gender, but the masculine energy itself has been predominant on the planet for a really long time, and that led to a repression of our feminine side. And when it comes to healing, you can't heal through the masculine. It's the feminine. The feminine is the healer energy within you. And so a lot of times the way that we've kind of lived healing, even in spirituality, has been praying to a God up in the sky. That's masculine. You see, that's a masculine energy of reaching up.
Wow. Yeah.
It's been seeking. That's a masculine energy. Again, very beautiful. Nothing wrong with this masculine energy. But when it comes to healing, as soon as you start to invite that feminine energy, she sits very, very low in your system. I usually have people start to work on the feminine energy by putting their hand right below their belly button in that womb area. Even if you're a man, you know where the womb area is, right below your belly button. And so it's a really powerful center that's That's usually where feminine energy resides, very low in your system. And when you call that feminine energy, the feminine energy is the energy that embraces everything. It's the nurturing energy. It's the energy that sits with everything. So if you're angry, feminine energy says, hi, nice to see you, come on in. If it's sadness, feminine energy says, hi, nice to see you, come on in. And really the have you ever heard of that Guest House poem by Rumi? It's my favorite poem of all time.
No. Or
It's
maybe
by
I
Rumi.
remind, just say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I won't be able to say the whole thing because it's long, but it's called Guest House. It's by Rumi. And it talks about, your house, various people come knocking on your door. Sometimes it's sadness, sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's whatever. And then Rumi says, no matter what it is, welcome them in because they could be clearing you out for new delights. And that's just such a beautiful, beautiful, it's my favorite poem. And it's really a poem about how the feminine energy heals. The feminine energy heals through embracing, through going down, down, deep, deep, deep,
Right.
and sitting with it. So it's not about, a lot of times when we talk about healing, we'll say, I want to release this. I'm so tired of carrying this. I want to release this anger. Feminine energy says release. No, you got to sit with it first. It's yours. You can't release something that you do not own.
No, I'm done sitting with it. No.
Yeah.
Can we be done with that already?
Yeah. And the feminine energy says, well, no, you haven't really sat with it, because if you sat with it, you wouldn't have that resistance, then that anger that you have inside. If you sat with it, you wouldn't need to release it.
All right, guys, did you guys just hear that, audience? Did you hear that? That was a big discernment. So if you are in that contrast, right? That deep contrast, really pay attention. Go ahead.
If I really have the need to release something, I'm not comfortable with it. And if I'm not comfortable with it, it has not been integrated. This is really important for people to understand about healing. The moment that I stop fighting something within me, now integration of energy is occurring, really. Because that's what healing is. Healing is not getting rid of anything. Healing is integrating all parts of you, all experiences, good or bad, all emotions, all states. You're integrating it all and you are becoming whole. You're saying, this happened to me. This happened to me. This is a big breakthrough in healing. This happened to me. I'm not running. You see, I'm not in resistance. I'm not blaming. I'm not.
There's no emotional charge anymore.
Yeah. When you're working through the emotions, of course, there's going to be charge, but then you get to the end of that walkthrough and yeah, you're absolutely right. You reach a place of more neutrality, and it's more just, this happened to me. Okay. Do I still have emotions that I have not recognized? Do I still have memories that I am not looking at? Is there still something within me that I am pushing against? If there's something within me that I'm pushing against, I'm not healing it. I'm pushing it away, because healing is bringing to. That's why this is a feminine. That's why healing is a feminine energy, because healing involves bringing in. This is of the feminine. This is magnetizing to me. Masculine is going out. And so the moment that I stop fighting, and the moment that I say, I'm ready to sit with this, I really am ready to sit with this. Because I've had people say to me, oh, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I've been sitting with this sadness or this anger or whatever, fill in the blank, for 20 years. Don't tell me I still have to sit with this, because I've been sitting with this. That can't be the path of healing. And what they're mistaken is they haven't really been sitting. They've just been in a state of resistance for the last 20 years, trying to push something away. So they think they've been sitting with it, but they haven't. They've been sitting with it to the extent that they're like, I'm so tired of this sadness. I want to get rid of this. I'm going to get this out of me. I'm so
totally.
You see, that's a state of internal resistance, and you cannot heal it. The healing occurs when there is a recognition that this is mine, and I'm going to treat it with tenderness and with love and with appreciation, whether it is a horrible memory, whether it's a horrible trauma, whatever it is. I'm going to treat it with tenderness, because it's a part of my journey, and my journey is honorable. no matter what I have been through. It's an honor to be here. So I will treat all of my experiences with honor. That's hard when you've had some really difficult stuff happen to you, right?
Oh, totally. Yes, yes, and yes, and yes. And that contrast, the language, some of the language that I have used, it's a refractory period. So many people hold on to that fear, hold on, just like you had a different language. And I really like how you described it. They haven't really sat with it. They're still holding on to it. And they think that they have felt through it and they've dropped the proverbial bag, because I'm guilty of that. I know that, and I'm aware of it. So that's the first step, right? That's huge. And then you sit with it, and then you have that choice to heal from it and then let it go. Drop the bag, literally drop the bag, right?
For me, what I've been working with clients, and this ends up being a huge breakthrough for them, is I still use the word release or letting go, because these are good metaphors for us to use and good ways for us to kind of describe energy. But what I always teach my clients and everyone that I work with is that at the end of the day, instead of dropping something, a good energy alchemist never drops anything. An alchemist, which is really what all spiritual beings are, mature spiritual beings, an alchemist always uses energy to their advantage. So, for example, if I have a boatload of anger that I have in my system somewhere from something, something happened in my childhood, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Let's just say I have a boatload of anger that I'm holding on to. The initial instinct is I want to let go of this, right? Like, again, there goes that masculine energy. I want that, just go. Okay.
Take it off,
and then the feminine energy says, no, that's my anger. So I'm going to sit with it and I'm going to welcome it because it's mine, and I'm going to love it and I'm going to embrace it with tenderness. And then the alchemist says, I'm going to use that energy and transmute it into higher, purer forms of energy. So then you transform anger into ecstasy or anger into joy. You see, you never drop anything. You never let go of energy, because that energy is yours. You transmute it, you transform it. And that's really a big breakthrough for people when they realize that at the end of the day, something that they've been trying to dump for so long is something that they could actually help fuel their spiritual awakening and help fuel them into a different state of consciousness, a higher state of consciousness. But you see, you can't do this alchemy work until you are in a state of acceptance of whatever energy it is. I can't alchemize anger if I don't accept it as mine, right? No. I can't alchemize grief. I have to accept it as mine, embrace it with that beautiful feminine energy and say, okay, I've sat with you. You are mine. Thank you so much. And now I'm going to transform. And that's at the level of the heart. The heart is your incinerator. It's the most powerful chakra.
Yes. Oh God, this is I had not an epiphany. What's that word I'm looking for? A paradigm shift in my thought, because you hear the language of let's drop the bag, let's shake it off. And I love how you say, no, let's use that energy and transmute it. And I don't know that, yes, I've dropped the bag. However, I think I've maybe languaged it different. I'm going to use that energy elsewhere. That makes sense? Yeah. And I love how you have paradigm shifted and languaged it for me, because it totally is in there. It's aligned and it's stuck now. And I know for the audience too, because I get goosebumps talking about it, because I know it's hit a chord. All right, you know what? We, Christina, are going to take a quick commercial break. So we're going to still be live on YouTube. So if those of you in radio world would like to join us on YouTube, please join us over there and just type in 11:50 a.m. and we're going to keep chatting. We'll be right back, you guys.
Okay, all clear.
Thank you, Benny. So we're still here in the YouTube world. Can you tell everybody about your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so people can just look up my name, Christina Lopes, on YouTube. I'll pop up pretty quickly. And there are hundreds by now videos that we've got going on there on a variety of topics. But the channel is basically designed to help accelerate your spiritual awakening, help get you through the harder aspects of a spiritual awakening that sometimes people languish in a lot of times. And so, we're constantly, every week we put out a video on Tuesday. We have our YouTube YouTube videos coming out on Tuesday. And it's about, I poll my my audience once a year. I'll usually send out surveys and I'll poll people on what kind of content they want to have. So I really create a custom experience for people. I put out videos on topics that they really want to learn about, and just we've been growing a lot over on YouTube. Yeah, that's our main way of reaching people.
YouTube it is. Okay. And we've only got a few minutes, so I don't know how deep of a conversation we can go, but you had talked about a theme or a pattern that some of your clients, what's been going on for you? And we can, elaborate as we go back into live radio. What's been going on over the last couple of years? I know there's an awakening, but let's go to the practical sense too, because there's been a lot of, 3D shifts that have been happening forcefully to us. Yeah.
I think, I don't work one-on-one with people anymore. I stopped a couple of years ago, last year, maybe. It's just had too much volume of people. And so now I'm dedicating more time to larger and larger groups, but I can still spot patterns. I'm very connected to people and to the audience. And I think that, right now, particularly, and in the last couple of years, this has really been a rude awakening for a lot of people. This is regardless of, what the superficial story is, at the core, Gaia herself is shifting her vibration. And she's basically saying to all of us that are sitting on top of her, she's saying, you're going to awaken with me, or you're going to exit the planet now. And she's saying this with love, but we co-evolve. We're not evolving on by ourselves, and we're not sitting on a dead rock. We're sitting on a live sentient being, and she has her own energy system, and she has her own evolutionary journey. And, a couple of years ago, starting with the COVID pandemic, that was really, for me, that marked the main shift from masculine dominance to feminine dominance on the planet. And, we evolve in a pendulum. And so that was the swing. That COVID pandemic, as soon as we started being sent home, you are now going to go home and you are not going to have any of your usual distractions. That was, for me, the big shift towards feminine energy, which is an internal energy. It internalizes. You go within.
Yeah, we're going to go back.
You guys back on the air. So hang on. Here we go.
Go.
Woohoo! Welcome back, Radio World. All right, if you missed that, we just had a juicy little conversation, albeit 3-minute conversation on YouTube. I know it's really easy to dive deep. Really
it is.
quick.
It is.
And
Start talking.
Oh, I know. I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, so welcome back. We have Christina Lopes with us. Welcome back. We have been talking masculine energy, feminine energy, not metaphorically dropping the bag, integrating said bag, whatever that adjective is that's describing the emotions, the feelings. Lean into it, feel it, nurture it, honor it, because you are this great being that's here to learn what that feeling and embrace it. And then, as Christina was explaining, and I had a great paradigm shift with all that integration was just beautiful. And then using that energy for your greater good, transmuting that. Brilliant, my friend, brilliant.
Yeah, that's a major, that really changes everything, because it takes you from a place. Sometimes people actually feel a miraculous shift within them, because they've been carrying this energy as a weight, and they've been wanting to get rid of it, and without realizing that they don't have to get rid of it. They just have to transmute it into a higher vibration. And then suddenly it's not a weight anymore. Suddenly it's like fuel that's propelling you forward. So that's
that energetic shift. And I love that conversation from 3D to 5D, right? And it's aligning with who you are. It's aligning with who you are in 3D, because we're all 3D. We're all form. We have bodies, we have triggers and things going on. And then you align, and transmuting that energy is that's brilliant. That was a huge paradigm shift for me. So thank you very much.
Can I add something here that I feel like people need to? So a lot of times when we talk about, and I've had this conversation with so many people where they say, okay, I get what you're saying, Christina. I understand. I have to go into it. I have to sit with it. I have to, just witness it and just be in that feminine energy. That's what the feminine energy does. But I am really scared of doing that, because my fear is, if I go down that rabbit hole, I'm never going to get out of it. A lot of people say this. So a lot of people say, I have so much trauma. I have so much pain that, I am just so scared. I'm very resistant of doing what you're saying is the best way to heal because I'm afraid of going down that hole and never coming back and just, putting the covers over my head and never wanting to get out of bed ever again. And I understand where that kind of thought process comes from, but there are some false assumptions operating here. And the false assumption is that the only way that we ever want to put the covers over our heads and just disappear and not have any energy is when we are energetically fragmented. And that only happens when I am in rejection of something within me. My energy fragments. I have my woundedness over there in that part of my house, and I have my okay part over here, and I'm only going to use half of the house. The other half of the house, I will not use it. I'm locking the door. I'm leaving it over there. But you still have a whole house. And now you have half of that house that you're not going into and you're not cleaning out. Guess where the weight is coming from? The weight is coming from the uncleaned side of your house. And so, although it may feel like if you unlock that door and you go in and you start doing the cleaning, that you're going to get into this rabbit hole that you're never going to get out of, that is never the case. That's never the case, because what ends up happening is as soon as you go into that energy, just the going into it, just recognizing it as mine, just saying, this happened to me. I'm feeling this. I'm sitting with this. Just doing that starts to move energy immediately. And so, although in your mind, you think you're going to be a depressed mess and you're just going to go to bed and you're never going to get up, as soon as you start working with this energy, precisely the opposite happens. You sit with it, it starts to circulate, and you actually start to feel better instead of worse. So I always like to leave this side note for people who are, because there's still a lot of resistance in working with the feminine energy. We are all the masculine has been dominant for a really long time, both in women and men. We're all masculine dominant in our energy culturally, through education, through everything. We're programmed to be in that action, success, do, hustle energy. This is masculine energy. We have lost our capacity to work with feminine energy, and it's just now coming to the surface. And when we were on the break, we were talking about when that shift to feminine occurred, and it was at the start of the COVID pandemic, when people were like, all right, you're all going to go home and you will not leave the house for the next whatever. For some people, it was weeks. For some people, it was months. And so now people are in their house staring at the walls. Talk about an introduction to feminine energy. You have no escape. You cannot run. You cannot do your regular distractions. You're literally sitting with you and you. That was our introduction to feminine. And for a lot of people, let me tell you, that was difficult.
I'll tell you right now, I was in complete denial. Well, there was a few things going on for me. Nobody's going to tell me that I have to go stay in my house. And I meant that physically and metaphorically. Nobody's going to tell me what I'm going to do. And I am not wearing a mask, and I'm not going to go out and work my body. It's the earth. I want to be grounded in Mother Earth. But look at the metaphor, right? That, life is a metaphor.
Yeah, it was definitely a switch into that feminine dominant energy that's going to be around for the rest of our lives. At least it's going to take at least a lifetime of feminine dominance for that pendulum to come back down to the center, because there's a lot of clearing to do. There's a lot of healing to do. And so the planet herself has shifted towards this feminine dominance. And now this is we're starting to understand that, okay, so I can't live my life like I used to, because the energy grid on the planet has actually changed completely. So I can't do what I used to do. So what does it mean to be in feminine dominant energy? The grid on the planet, what does that mean? I know he's just participating.
Say hi to you. He's never done this. He's never done this. You say hi. Levi, look. He can feel it.
Levi.
He's a big healer.
He's so cute. He must have participated in the conversation.
He does. Pardon us. Yes. Please continue.
So yeah, that's basically where we're at right now. It's been kind of a rough introduction to feminine energy, and we're all realizing in one form or another, we look around the world and we realize that things have fallen apart energetically. Even people who are not spiritually awakened know that everything is changing on the planet. You would have to be completely out of it to not notice that everything is changing on the planet. And so this is a painful transition for us, because we have to learn how to live in a way that we didn't before. And you know, a lot of times I've been talking to a lot of people who have been saying to me, because I've been talking about this feminine dominance really. I started doing YouTube lives weekly during the COVID pandemic, and we would do meditations every Saturday, and people, like thousands and thousands of people, would come to this meditation, and I did them for 12 weeks straight during the COVID lockdowns. It was, yeah, I got to the 12th week and I'm like, all right, peace out, everybody. I'm totally exhausted. I will see you guys.
Wow.
But what was cool during that time of connecting with people on kind of a weekly basis and seeing the transition as the COVID pandemic went ahead was there was this interesting, once everybody started to come out of lockdown and the world started to open up again, people were like, oh my God, this isn't the same world that it was before the COVID pandemic. Like something, I'm stepping on new ground. I'm literally stepping on new ground. And so I started to have these conversations with people, and now people continue to confirm this, where I said to them during those lives, I said to them, look, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Moving forward, you must learn to work with feminine energy, because the energy of hustle will not work in this new energy. You're going to exhaust yourself. You're going to have a burnout if you continue to deploy this excessive masculine energy on this new earth grid. It will not be supported. You will collapse. And it's funny because at the moment I was saying that to people, but I wasn't actually living it. So then I had a burnout.
I was just going to say, wait a minute, because I'm in that contrast. I'm constantly, and thank you for having that awareness, Sue, that I'm in that, woohoo, wait a minute, you don't need to be doing that, girl. You don't need to be doing that. Take a deep breath. It's okay. Love and trust. Love and trust.
For me, it was the other way around, because for me, during the COVID pandemic, millions of people, it was an awakening moment for millions of people. So I had so many thousands of people reach me during the COVID pandemic that I was overwhelmed with work, really. And, you know, me being very Sagittarius energy. Do you know anything about human design? Have you ever heard of human design? Yeah. So I'm a manifesting generator. So manifesting generators in human design, we make our own energy. And so we're an interesting bunch, because we generate our own energy. So we just keep going like the Duracell battery. We just keep going until we keel over.
Exactly. Yeah. Adrenal failure.
Yep. That's what happened to me. Oh, yeah. That is what happened to me. And so it was really interesting, because I would just laugh at myself. I'm always laughing at myself because it's so funny. You know, we teach what we most need to learn. That's been my experience. And so it was funny that I spent like months talking about, guys, do not go excessively into your masculine energy, because you're going to burn out. Listen to me. And then months later, I'm like, hey, everybody, I got to take a break from YouTube because I have adrenal fatigue.
Because I'm the Energizer Bunny. Next thing you're going to tell me, you're an Aries. Are you an Aries?
No, I'm a Sagittarius.
Oh,
Sagittarius.
That's right.
Double Sagittarius. Yeah. So, but
Sag is fire energy, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Fire.
Yeah. So we've got to double back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is, it's that awareness and that discernment to remind ourselves 3D and 5D. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. And one of the things people have been having the most difficulty in this transition from masculine dominance into feminine dominance, and knowing how to work with that feminine energy, they'll start arguing with me and they'll say, but you know, what do you mean? I can slow, because the energy, the way that my guides have been giving the message to me is that we are now in a place where we need to slow down to speed up. And that seems weird. Like, how do I slow down to speed up? And the metaphor that I like to give of this energy is, you know, just imagine you're in Hawaii or you're here in Portugal. We have huge waves. We have a really famous competition of really big waves. And let's just imagine that you are, you know, on your stomach on a surfboard, and this big wave is coming, huge wave. Okay. Now, when you get on that board and you start surfing that wave, you're not really doing much except keeping your balance and praying to God that you don't fall off that thing and get tumbled under that wave and just drown, right? So what's taking you? You're going super fast, but what's taking you? You're balancing. Okay, you're doing your part, but it's the force of the wave that's taking you. you don't have to exert effort to be able to go. And that's really what slowing down to speeding up means. That's what it means to work with feminine energy. It's that when I slow down, it's not that things won't get done, because that's what people say to me. I can't do that. I can't slow down. I have so many obligations and I have to do this and that and the other. And this is, again, that masculine templating that's hard to transition into. So people are under the false assumption that when we slow down, things aren't going to get done. The world isn't going to move forward. That's not true. People have to remember that the feminine energy is the energy that literally gives life to everything. So if I'm looking at a pregnant woman, I'm not looking at a pregnant woman and ever saying, oh, there's nothing, you're just doing nothing over there. Like, you're just doing nothing. No, literally, she is carrying life that's going to come out of her in 9 months. And so, although it seems like she's just chilling and hanging out, she is literally developing life within her womb. And it's the same thing if I plant a seed. If I plant a seed, you don't see anything going on, but is it or is it not true that that seed is germinating under the ground and it will sprout through eventually? That's feminine energy. So feminine energy still gets things done. It just gets things done in a different way. And the way that energy comes out practically is, in this new energy, I will only need to do one thing to move forward versus 10 things that I had to do in the previous energy. I had to hustle more. I had to employ the masculine energy more. I had to do. And in this energy, you can now discern, what do I need to do and what can I just let go of? What do I need to do and what do I not need to do? Do I need to fill myself with excessive to-do lists? No, I don't. What is necessary for me to do today? What's important for me to do today? What do I want to do with my life? Right?
Yeah.
And so now, instead of
getting clear on that momentum, that clear, for me, clarity is the gas pedal. It is getting clear on who you are, what's important, and that fundamental question. Authentic and genuine are big anchor words for me. What is authentic and genuine to me, right? And it's joy, abundance and joy. Is this going to bring me joy? Yes, of course, I've got practical needs and financial abundance and all of that. However, and you can have this conversation as well, that when I'm happy and living in that joy, in that frequency that's truly aligned, it's all going to work itself through and out and coming to me. Right?
For sure.
Juicy,
and that
juicy.
Yeah. And that really is the difference between masculine and feminine. When we start to be able to work with this energy. And a lot of times I tell people, look, you may not know what feminine even looks like, because we've really are unaccustomed to using feminine energy. The only sides or faces of the feminine that are acceptable in our culture are the face of the mother. Okay. We accept that face of the feminine. We accept that energy. Maybe the wife, maybe. But there are only a couple of layers of the feminine that we accept in society. Then so usually when I talk about the other ones, when I talk about the goddesses, the dark goddesses, like the Kalis, the Durgas, the people are like, what? I'm afraid of that. No, I don't want to go into that. And so it's the more powerful sides of the feminine we're not used to working with on the planet for a really long time, because they've been repressed. They were persecuted. They were tortured. They were burned at the stake. That feminine was repressed. And so now that feminine's coming up and we're learning how to work with her, whether we're men or women. And it's
yes, hands down. Okay. Well, the journey for me has been, I think, lifelong. However, like you, having that awareness. So I was adopted as a baby, but I always had this healing energy and mediumship, whatever that was when I was a kid, highly intuitive. I didn't know what any of that was. And I didn't have the 3D family to go to and say, there's somebody talking to me. I smell death, whatever it is. I don't know where I was going with this, and I'm not quite sure. There was a comment I wanted to say, I guess, coming into the awakening of my feminine energy. Now knowing and looking back and having this conversation, I'm able to discern with you and to not pinpoint, but to recognize the masculine energy that I have been living in for so long. Protection, all that stuff, because it's massive protection.
It's a beautiful energy, and we're still going to need to use it. Yeah.
But now to realize, oh, shiitake, that's what's been going on with me. That feminine goddess is coming out, good, bad, and different. It just is, right? And revealing and reclaiming and redesigning. And I love that. That's juicy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you did a huge paradigm shift with me, Christina. I love that. Integrating. Yes. Thank you.
It's a huge part of healing. Yeah.
It is. Okay. We've got, a few more minutes, 5 more minutes as a producer will say. Is there anything that you want to wrap up with? But before you do that, I want to know what you're thankful for, because that's a good juicy energy.
Oh my gosh. So many things, but usually the first thing out of my mouth is I'm just thankful for being here and just breathing every day and just being here. Just being here is such an honor. Sometimes we complain a lot about life and about challenges and about all the things that are happening to us, but we don't realize that our souls chose to come down here, and there are lines and lines of souls to incarnate because there aren't enough bodies for the souls that want to come here. And so this is a really, really, really beautiful way of evolving, and the soul's love coming down here. So it's an honor to be here always. And I feel that every day.
Deep appreciation.
Yes.
And it's a nice reminder, because we get spun out, right? We get looped out, whatever that looping is, or the rabbit hole. What did you say? You said, so some big takeaways for me. It's that alignment and that integration of the energy. It's integrating that energy, not dropping the bag.
Don't push anything away from you. No pushing away from you, because whatever you push away, you're still dragging, because you can never really push away.
You haven't integrated it.
That's the most hysterical. That's the most hysterical part of this whole thing, is that people actually think that they can push away the things that they don't like. No, you can't. It's a part of your energy. You're going to drag it. It's like a ball and chain. Don't do that.
No. Do you hear that little kid in me?
No. Yeah, but it can take a while. I know.
Oh, so much. Okay, we've got about 3 more minutes left. What would you like to wrap up with? What are you feeling?
Thank you. Great conversation. Thank you for having me. It was good to connect with you. Yeah. And people want to find me. They can just find me on YouTube very easily. They can also find me on my website, ChristinaLopes.com. That's pretty easy. And yeah, it was good to be here.
What's on the docket for you, love? What's happening?
So I have next month I have a big retreat. So we have a retreat coming up with over 100 people in Portugal. I do yearly retreats with. I love working live with people. So that's going to be coming up next. Is going to be my retreats, and then we're ongoing throughout the year. We have our online courses and travel. I'm going to Costa Rica this year again. I work with plant medicine, so I'm going to be going down to Costa Rica. Yeah, to a place called Rhythmia.
I have heard of that. Yes.
Yeah. I'm teaching a workshop there.
Yeah. You know what? The plant medicine has been knocking on my door. I had been accepted into, the name escapes me, but to be one of the facilitators to go through the training. There's questions and doctors and all of that. And, it's interesting. It's really interesting working with the plant medicine and watching people. I was working with another gentleman for 3 years pre-COVID, and watching people transition and move this energy massively without even drugs. It was all through breath and meditation, and it's absolutely powerful. So, anyways, I don't know where I was going that, but guys, it's Sue Lundquist here, and you have just enjoyed an incredible, juicy conversation. If you want to get a copy of the show, please go to claritywithsue.com. If you want to get more information about Christina, it is Christina Lopes, Lopes. You can find her on YouTube, hundreds of hours of interviews and education and all of that. Blessings to you. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much. Let me know how I can support you moving forward. If it comes up and if it's meant to be, absolutely reach out.
Thank you so much, Sue. It was good to talk to you.